Comeback this could be. There's only two men behind him now. Armstrong is the leader and will have to wait. 8:2.5. That is astonishing.
Well, that's an incredible start to the Tour de France, Phil. He's back at the camping car. Everybody's there to congratulate him. Frankie Andreu, his 8th Tour de France, the captain of the team, and Johan Brunel, the team manager. I don't think he could have believed that before the start of this tour.
I mean, right now I'm so surprised, but yet I'm so pleased and so happy for the team and for the staff and the other riders. It's of course it's a big story, but I gave everything and I feel good.
He would relinquish the yellow jersey almost immediately, but this newfound time trial specialist would win it back a week later. Is there no end to this rider this year, because Armstrong just can do absolutely nothing wrong?
Well, the last time I saw him ride a time trial like this, Phil, was 1996, the Tour du Pont, which he absolutely dominated. He won that time trial stage there at over 32 miles an hour. But it has changed. His position on the machine has changed. He's got a very aerodynamic helmet. But the important thing is that the speed at which he's pedaling, look at that cadence, it's up around 100 RPM.
Well, since his cancer therapy and his chemotherapy, he has lost an awful lot of weight in his training and his comeback. Those that thought after his Paris-Nice race last year that he was going home for good were proved absolutely wrong.
And now he's coming up to the line, and look at that, he's almost a minute faster on the finish line as well.
Well, we are going to see a second stage win here and the second time trial win for Lance Armstrong, and it could well be a yellow jersey as well. Armstrong won 8:36, an incredible time, but the acceleration of Armstrong is absolutely frightening here. This is the sort of move that you would have seen Eddie Merckx do in his day, and not the sort of move we ever saw Miguel Indurain do.
Look at that.
Armstrong had quickly established himself as not only a devastating time trialist, but as an ace climber too.
1 kilometre. He's ripped across that gap and he's riding a superb race now.
This charge across the peaks towards Sestriere would enter Tour legend. It was a powerful display and a dagger into the heart of his challengers. It was indeed reminiscent of the great feats of the cannibal, Eddie Merckx, 30 years before.
He's just ridden across like they were standing still.
He's won both time trials. He's now heading up to a likely victory here at Sestriere. If you can win the time trials and you win the mountains, well, there's not much left but to win the Tour de France. Much of the time, anger drove him on. When he needed to, he reminded himself of how his contract with Cofidis had been renegotiated as he lay recuperating from his chemotherapy. Lance Armstrong looks to the sky, no doubt in memory of his friend Casatelli.
A lot of people expected the climbs to go out for you today. You actually turned the tables around and gave them a big slap in the face.
Well, I wanted to answer some questions about that, because there was a lot of people that figured my climbing was suspect.
Some old controversies soon raised their ugly heads, though. In 1998, Festina's team doctor Willy Voigt was arrested at the French-Belgian border, his car full of the performance-enhancing drug EPO. A few days later, France's favourite rider, Richard Virenque, was kicked out of the race with the rest of the Festina team. Another 6 teams left in protest at their treatment, including the Dutch TVM squad. The peloton even brought the whole race to a standstill for a few hours. By the time Marco Pantani was crowned in Paris with fewer than half the riders who started it, it was clear that the issue of drugs and the Tour de France was not going to go away. Armstrong's miraculous performances meant that he too was now under suspicion.
I thought a rider with my history and my health situation, and also with the results of my career, I would have thought that it shouldn't be such a surprise. It's been a week and nothing's been found. You're not going to find anything. If it's L'Equipe, if it's Channel 4, if it's a Spanish paper, Dutch paper, Belgian paper, there's nothing to find.
I've never tested positive. I've never been caught with anything.
A lot of people who watch our programs have heard of your illness and see you winning now and think it's nothing short of a miracle. Do you see it that way?
It is a miracle, because 15 or 20 years ago I wouldn't be alive, much less be riding a bike or starting the Tour de France or leading the Tour de France. So yes, I think it's a miracle.
This man has no limit to his strength here. Armstrong rode best when driven by anger, and those accusations just kept on coming. This time it was about steroids in a skin cream.
We're not talking about doping. We're talking about a simple skin cream. And I wanted to talk to the press. I always want to talk to, when there's a problem, I want to speak with the press. Today, there was clearly a problem. I wanted to speak to the press conference, come here on Velo Club, explain the situation. Le Monde is looking for a doping story, but there's not one. There's a story of skin cream.
But outside the media, more people were wanting to believe in the miracle than to question it.
Armstrong, last man to start.
Last man to start. He won the prologue at Le Puy de Fou. Then he regained the yellow jersey at the time trial at Metz. For nearly 2 weeks he has successfully defended that with a great team around him.
But the best times so far are being set by Rick Verbrugge, but this, Phil, I have to say, is unbelievable. Armstrong has caught his 3-minute man and gone straight by.
If Armstrong wants to join names like Eno, Merckx and Indurain as having won all of the time trials of a Tour de France, look at the clock. Zuller is 1:8:26. There's still a ways to go here. This is going to be very close. Armstrong was clearly ahead earlier. Now he's not. Armstrong doesn't know it, but he needs to sprint to get the victory. As the clock counts on, he makes it ever so close, but he makes it, and 1:8:17 is good enough. And there he is on the podium. So Lance Armstrong has won all of the time trials, and he's now set to win the Tour de France. One of the finest sporting achievements in the history of not just cycling, but of any sport. And there he is now as he rolls to a halt for the last time. He receives the congratulations from his teammates and from other riders as he turns in now to... Lance Armstrong was, as the millennium drew to a close, the author of the greatest story in sport. Surely, though, it was just an incredible one-off.